Hello everybody, welcome to another watercolor tutorial. We are going to be painting this today, but I'm not going to paint it on a wood slice. I just have a regular watercolor piece of paper here, cut to a very small size because I like to conserve paper because it's super expensive. But you can use whatever size that you would like. You can adjust this, scale it upwards. So let me see here. Oh, I am tired. Where are we going to start? We have to start with the mountains first. And the mountains are going to be very faded. If I cared enough, I would have cut this piece of paper into a circle because it looks nice in a circular shape. So this looks complicated, but it's actually quite quick. Or maybe it just feels quick because I've done it so many times. But we're going to start with our mountain range. So I've got like this bluish gray. You can take blue and just water it down heavily. And we are painting on a mountain range that looks like it's in the distance. So I have my size 1 brush here, and I'm just I have the paintbrush angled horizontally to the piece of paper, and I'm kind of touching it down and creating a rugged, rough outline of this mountain. And even just using the paintbrush diagonally like that, or not diagonally, but horizontally, it's already created this really nice mountain effect. And when I drag it across the piece of paper, so it's dry, like the piece of paper is not wet, and because it's not wet and my paintbrush is small, it doesn't have a lot of pigment on it, it is creating this very rough, rugged effect. So I did absolutely nothing special here other than take a thinner brush and drag it on a dry watercolor piece of paper. And this is the result of that. I think that's pretty darn awesome, if you ask me. So I'm just going to extend the mountain range down a little bit, and you can either, so I'm switching to my size 8. Oh my gosh, it has green on it. I don't know how that happened, but it's extremely annoying. So sometimes I feel like I need a separate paintbrush for every color, major color that I use. Like I use a lot of blues and a lot of greens, to just have separate sets for those colors, because this is not the first time that this has happened to me. And luckily we're gonna kind of paint over top of this, so it doesn't matter too much. But what I wanted to do was drag this downwards, like blend it out, but I'm not doing that anymore because I don't want to make this worse, and I'm being lazy because I'm tired. So this is the second tutorial that I am filming after it's been 2 months since I've given birth to our sweet daughter, but it's only the second tutorial that I have filmed after she was born. All the ones that you've seen up until this point were pre-filmed in the summer. By the way, I've just taken a size 00 by Winsor & Newton brush here, and I'm going over, like that first layer had dried. This is totally optional. This is me just trying to be extra, but I'm just going over some of those jaggedy details and just adding a little bit more pigment over top, just to make it a little more dramatic looking. Don't overdo it, because then those natural rough, dragged brush strokes they won't look as nice. But I think I'm gonna leave it at that, or maybe not. it's hard because I should have painted it in landscape position instead of portrait, but I can always just cut a piece off. What are we gonna do? So we have to let this part dry. Oh man, I don't want to get my hair dryer out. Maybe, yeah, let's let this dry completely before we add anything else to it. So I believe this is dry, which is great. So I am going to take that 00 brush. Just use any thin brush that you have. We're going to be painting pine trees. Woo, we're back in pine tree painting season, which I'm very happy about, because it's been a while since I have. That's not true. I always find an excuse to paint pine trees. So yes, I've just taken some random greens that I had on my palette already, and I am, oh dear me, excusez-moi, I'm just painting on these pine trees, although this isn't really what I wanted to do. Hold on. You want it to be watered down because these are going to be in the background. I'm sorry if I already said that. Have I said that I'm tired? Have I mentioned that yet? No, not only 17 times. I really appreciate, by the way, a lot of you guys write in the comments that you enjoy my banter and all the random talking to myself that I do. And I'm glad, because it really makes time go by faster and makes the entire process a lot more enjoyable. So I'm happy that you are not annoyed. I'm sure some people are annoyed. No one's actually ever commented, like, stop talking so much or stay on topic, which I'm surprised about because I've gotten critiques on some pretty strange things in my tutorials. I always laugh at the people that just straight out comment things like, this looks horrible. Because, you know, you can think that, and yeah, perhaps it is really horrible in relation to what some people can paint, but the fact that someone takes the time to actually comment that and say that on a video, that is what I find really funny. Somebody recently commented something. It was not a very nice comment. It was mean. Like, just, this is horrible. Like, they said something like that, and all I said back was, oh, I'm sorry that you feel that way about your painting. Keep practicing. Because it's better to just diffuse a situation than, you know, get all worked up about somebody else's issue, because it's not your issue. I don't know if I explained what I was even doing with these trees, so I apologize for that. You're just creating a horizon of these trees, essentially. And I'm realizing that this does not look the same as it does on my ornament, unfortunately. Oh my goodness, where did this red come from? I swear, guys, sometimes. Yeah, so you're just painting a horizon of trees. You don't want them to be too dark because they are did I say horizon of trees? I meant a background of trees. That is probably good enough for me. So we have to let this dry. I've just extended it downwards just enough so that this line won't be visible because we're going to be painting over top of it. And it's light enough that it won't be visible. So let's let this dry and we will move on to the next step. Okay, so we are back. It is hopefully dry. Okay, this next part is going to be a lot more fun. This is where everything kind of comes alive. So I'm gonna outline a pathway here, like so. It's gonna come here somewhere. Something like that. And then sorry, I'm outlining this pathway with sort of a lime green, but you can use whatever green that you've got laying around. A lot of people really get hung up on the color names. And if you're one of those people, I'm sorry, but you're not going to get that information on this channel because I do not believe that you need to know the exact color names to create a beautiful painting. But there are plenty of wonderful YouTubers that do go into those specifics. So by all means, go check them out if that's what you're looking for. But I think you can learn very well just by using the colors that you have. So if I say green, use the green you have. And it's a great way to practice color mixing, getting your, man, art terminology is not my forte. So getting your lights and your darks accurate, you know, adding black, adding white, adding yellow to warm things. It just takes practice, and I think if you use the exact color name, you're kind of ruining the opportunity that you have to practice these things. But I digress. So once you've made your little path and you've filled this in about a third of the way down, we're going to start painting our pine trees. This is what's going to make it really come alive, I believe. So I've taken, I've been really liking this 00 brush. Like typically I use a 400 for all the details, and that's a really fine brush. That's the brush that's been my tried and true brush for a very long time. That being said, this one is excellent because you have almost the same amount of control in your fine details, but you have the added benefit that it holds more pigment. So you have to reload your pigment a lot less frequently than the other one. Although I'm seeing now, this is very interesting because I've been painting mostly on these wood slice ornaments recently, and it paints quite a bit differently on watercolor paper than it does on the wood slice ornaments. So I am gonna switch to my 00 here, or sorry, my 400 to get the fine details that I want. So I'm not going into how to paint pine trees in this tutorial because I have lots of tutorials that are specifically dedicated to techniques for painting pine trees. What I will say is that I also have a Skillshare class that features 8 techniques to painting pine trees, and I have a video that covers 4 techniques. Like, there are so many resources on my channel and elsewhere that kind of go over pine tree painting techniques. Although, man, it is really quite annoying to have to constantly reload my paintbrush. So I might just stick with the 00. But the brush strokes are not as fine, unfortunately. You can't have it all. So I mean, you guys really don't care, but I do have so many new things going on. So many things that I would have talked about in my painting tutorials had I been regularly filming them in real time. For instance, what else? We booked a trip to a warm destination. So our daughter is going international. And that's gonna be a lot of fun because last year I was really having a hard time with winter. I mean, part of the reason was because I was pregnant, so I didn't feel very good during first trimester. But wow, I don't know if it's just because I'm so tired or I'm out of practice or what, but it is so hard for me to focus on what I'm saying and also paint at the same time. I don't even remember what I was saying. So I kind of want to paint in silence, but then you'll get bored. So I will carry on. I mean, this looks okay, but it's certainly not as nice as my ornament paintings. I wonder why. What is it? Is it the circular shape of the canvas that makes it look so nice? I posted on my local group that I paint these ornaments, and there was a lot of interest, and this local art studio reached out to me. They're fairly local, at least, asking me to do like a pop-up, what do you call it? A pop-up workshop or class on, I'm assuming, the ornaments, who knows? I haven't replied yet to them. And this, I've had so many requests, especially over the last 2 years, to do classes for painting, for watercolor painting, like live local classes. And it is it is just something that doesn't interest me very much at all. Part of the reason why I really like these tutorials is because I don't have to go anywhere, and I don't have to talk to anybody. Not that I'm an antisocial or anything like that. Although, who knows, sometimes I feel like I am. It's just so much easier to sit down and paint when I feel like it, and sit down and paint when I have time, instead of being somewhere at a certain time. And I know that's how the world works. But I feel very fortunate to be in a position where I can say no to things that are good money, but I just don't want to do them because it's not for me. I've even selling my paintings, I've had a lot of requests for custom work, and I, 5 years ago, I would have taken everything because it was all income, right? But now I've never liked custom work, and that's because early on I had too many experiences where I did a custom piece and the person, there was a detail that most of the time it was something like, oh, can you also add this? Or I'm not happy with this, can you change it? And it was like a fairly easy fix. But I did have one time where the person, it was just not what they had envisioned whatsoever. And so I had to redo it completely. And this was a very long time ago, by the way. And for that reason, I really don't like customs, because people have an expectation. Obviously, if they're getting a custom piece from you, they have an expectation of what they want it to look like. And if you don't meet that expectation, I mean, you're responsible for fixing what they don't like. And yeah, I'm just at a point where I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in being in a position where I want to worry about that. So I only make available what I paint. If you like it, great. If you don't have to buy it. If you are an artist or you sell your creative work, whatever it is, even if like any media, maybe you're a photographer and you've had a similar experience where a client was not happy with your family photos that you took of their family. I don't know. I'm just giving examples here. I know that you can probably relate to what I'm saying. So where was I going with that? Oh, and I haven't told anyone that I do these tutorials. There's a very few select people that know I do these tutorials locally, people locally. There's only a few people that know I do these tutorials because, if you live in a small town, it's best to keep certain things to yourself. Okay, where are we with this? I don't know if I was even done telling that story or what the purpose of that was. I don't remember what my point even was when I started telling this story. Right now, I am just edging the pathway. So I'm trying to make it a little bit uneven. And I'm doing that with darker green, and then I'm going in with that lime green that we started with, and I'm just kind of piling on the color to make it stand out a little bit more, make it pop. I'm trying to think of something else to talk about. Usually it just comes very naturally, but I'm tired, guys. Oh, maybe I can talk about my daughter. I should do a Sketchbook Sunday episode where I just talk about the birth, because that was an experience in itself. Holy. I will tell you now that I got my home birth. I desperately wanted a home birth. Not a big fan of hospitals, so that was really important to me. and it was a long but good experience, and I'm very grateful that everything went the way that it did. I will perhaps do a sketchbook Sunday about that, but I don't know who really cares. If you guys are here to watch painting tutorials, I don't think you really care to hear about the birth of a random person you don't know on the internet. So here we are just adding layers of pine trees. And I am progressively getting darker with my pine trees as I add more and more layers, because I want the ones in the foreground to stand out, of course. And I'm doing so by making them darker and touching the ones that go reach downwards the furthest are also appearing closer to the viewer. So that's another little foreground tip, I guess you could say. I can't remember if I also did this side with the green. I'm gonna flip this just so I can really quickly do the other side of the pathway. Make it kind of jaggedy looking. So I am filming this, it is November right now, currently. And Halloween just passed last week, so in Canada at least, I know there's still American Thanksgiving to come. When you see this video, it's not going to be relevant because it's going to be January, I think, but it's kind of officially Christmas season, holiday season in Canada, because our Thanksgiving is in October, so that's, I believe, in America. And all you Americans watching, correct me if I'm wrong, but Black Friday is like your monumental start to the holiday season, right? I'm not wrong, right? That's a thing. We have Black Friday in Canada, but it is nothing like what you see in the States, or at least what the videos portray. Because if it is like that, holy, why would, I mean, do you really need another TV? Although I shouldn't be judging people. If Michael's had a sale or an art store had a sale for 50% off, I'd probably be doing the same thing. But here it is not. I remember, actually, this was like around 10 years ago when I was still in university. Whenever I say that, I feel so old. But this was when I was in university, the local mall was trying to get onto this Black Friday thing. Even though it's just not really a thing in Canada, or it's not as hyped up as it is in the States. And they had this thing where, like, the first 100 people get these bags, loot bags. I don't know what they contained, but the opening hour came and it was only me and another person in line. And we were in line. We were like politely waiting. Nothing like what you see, or at least what has been portrayed in the States. Maybe it's not actually like that and they just exaggerate things, who knows? But I just thought that was so funny that they're like, yeah, first 100 people get this prize or get this bag full of goodies, and like no one shows up. Anyways, I am just filling this pathway in. I should have waited for it to dry, but I'm tired and I just want to bake cookies, so I'm not waiting for it to dry, but I took like a tan, a watered down brown almost, and I'm just filling the pathway in with that color. And I'm gonna actually take a little bit of like a brown or green or whatever and just add little, like I'm just dipping my paintbrush down, not dipping, but laying little pops of that darker color on the pathway just so it looks not flat. And I don't want to say that's it because it doesn't feel complete. Like when you look at this ornament, these trees are so much darker, or at least they appear darker. So I do want to maybe let this dry and then paint on maybe 2 really dark trees so that they stand out. Okay, so this is dry. I am just creating my pigment here. I'm mixing green with black, but it's very opaque. Should I go over this tree or should I add another tree? I think I'm just gonna add another tree. This is like a slightly different painting style for pine trees than I usually do. And the only reason that I developed this style is because it was very easy to paint this way on my wood slice ornaments. Like it looks, you saw what it looks like on the wood slice. It looks very different and very nice, in my opinion. Okay, I'm just gonna add one more here. You know what I totally forgot to do? I was going to winterize this painting by adding snow. I completely, I can't really do that now because I added such green grass that it would look so out of place. Okay, who votes to do it anyway? I mean, you guys, obviously, I'm pre-filming this, so it's not live. You don't really have a vote. My only vote counts, and I say yes. We are going to do it anyway because that was my original intention. So, okay, so you can use, if you have very opaque white watercolor, you're welcome to use it. Oh dear, I just had some white acrylic paint on my fingers and now it's on my face. That is life. So what I'm doing here is grabbing a paintbrush that I do not care about. This is the paintbrush I do not care about. And I'm dipping it in water and I'm watering down that white acrylic paint because I'm going to flick on some snow. So I'm tapping another brush against it so that it looks like it's snowing. And I'm just going to reload and do it again. And the more water that you add, the bigger your snow drops will be. I find that if you tap another brush against that brush instead of that brush against another brush, that made no sense, but if you're watching the video, then you knew what I was pointing at. it's better that way because it won't create these like long splatters. Right now it just looks mystical rather than like winter, and that is because there is a lot of green grass and that just doesn't make sense. But you know what? Maybe it was a freak accident and the weather just happened to snow on this particular day. I mean, it is in the mountains, so I'm gonna just line the pathway with a bit of snow. And then I'm gonna line some of the trees with a bit of snow. So how I'm doing this, I'm not gonna do this on every tree. I say that now, but we'll see. I'm just going over some of the branches with the white watercolor. So I'm just pretending that I'm painting another pine tree by going over those branches. But you don't want to overdo it. Just choose maybe the ones in the foreground to do this on, since they are technically the ones that are most visible to the viewer. And I also wouldn't recommend using your good watercolor paintbrushes for white acrylic paint. I have ruined brushes before doing so, but I, again, am too tired to care about my paintbrushes. Also, the company that sent me their watercolor paints that I really love and use in every tutorial now, the Grabby brand, they are sending me paintbrushes to try out. And if I'm as happy with those paintbrushes as I am with their paints, then that is going to be a great day, because I was blown away with their paints. I'm very, very happy with their paints. Link in the description if you would like some as well for yourself. So I am just adding, this doesn't look very good. I'm trying to make the ground look a bit more wintry, because right now it looks super green. And I don't think we can do very much, honestly, because I overdid it with the green, and nothing can be done about that now. So we're just gonna leave it like that. It looks kind of snowy. It mostly looks just like mystical rather than winter-like, but I will take it. It is what it is. Maybe if I made the sky really dark, it would have been a nice contrast with the falling snow, but I was trying to mimic this to some extent. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe and hit like for me painting this despite being exhausted. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.